Let's talk about a simple blueprint that you can walk in for financial freedom. It's so much simpler than you think. And if you've hustled hard with very little fruit, I want you to watch this because these three words really shifted everything for me. And let me start stepping into all that God had called me to. Maybe you've been sitting on promises from God and wondering, is He going to pull this off? Or maybe you've been wondering, okay, I'm working so hard, but not seeing a whole lot of fruit from it. And I want to just talk about this for a moment, just from my own assignment, my own story. My name is Kirsten Larson, and I'm a wholeness transformation coach. And I really am stepping into doing some of these videos to share some things on the other side of what I've learned, really running a business for 20 years, doing ministry for 20 years. When I first started doing a business, it was purely for the sake of being able to do ministry on the side. I just wanted to be able to pay my bills and then have the time to do ministry. So I was living just at the bare minimum. I didn't have a lot of bills outside of college, and I just did what I could. Launched a simple business and just said, I'm going to just get away with what I can. I didn't think through it very much. I was pretty young, and so I didn't have a lot of thought. And you know what? As things do, bills started stacking up. I had more bills than I knew what to do with. And it wasn't even that complicated. Single, young, in my 20s, but I had student loans and rent and other things along the way. And so what began to happen was this deep inner conflict. God, I want to serve you. I want to do ministry. I love doing this stuff. And yet then I had to work. I had to pay the bills. And I had this deep space in me that said, I am designed for a blend of both, that of business and ministry. And it really began this conflict for many years of, okay, how do I do both? And am I supposed to do both? Do I need a full-time job? And do I need to quit everything and raise support? And so I did a little bit of everything all throughout that journey. I did full-time work. I raised support and did ministry full-time. And all along asking God, what are we meant to do? None of it quite seems like it fits the design. If we have this deep calling and I work with a lot of people, I've done a lot of trauma work and I've done a lot of inner healing and mindset work for many years because that's been my passion and my heart. And in that, I often see those two deeply connected of, okay, I've got this pain point and I got this calling. But at the end of the day, I need funds for my life. And how do I get into that? How do I do that? And so I want to give three steps that are really important on defining this space and what really helped me shift out and blend that world and see God do a lot of different pieces in my life because of that. So the first one, you've probably heard this, but it's really important, is vision. You've got to know what you're ultimately hoping for, what you're ultimately feel like God has put in your heart for you to do and be. You can't just do random goals or random things or just take what you get when you have it. If we just go around, just take the job that comes, take this thing that comes, we also don't want to be sitting around not taking any jobs. So please don't hear me when I say that. But you want to know, okay, what has God put in your heart? And you want to make it clear. So Habakkuk 2:2 says, take the vision, write it down, make it clear. And it says, so that heralds may run with it. And I like to say, and some translations say, so that angels may run with it. I like to say so that you can run with it, so that anyone who would read this would know, oh, this is what you're going after. And here's the thing, though, there are angels on assignment for your life, whether you believe that or not, it's true. And so when you know what you're going after, there's an assignment of heaven that goes towards your life to start moving in that direction. And I have seen that over and over again for over 20 years, going, oh, maybe this is it. And I would tweak that vision and move into that, and things would align to take me into that space. And so you want to ask, do I have a clear vision? Do I know what I'm leaning into? Is it clear so that I even know what I'm going into? Okay. And number two, we actually talked about this a little bit in my last video, is stewardship. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit differently in this one. We talked about stewarding different pieces, but I want to talk about stewarding whatever God has given you. Usually, when we hear stewarding, we think of finances, and that is one, right? We heard that in Luke 16, stewarding earthly wealth or stewarding what is not yours, God will give you or heavenly treasures in that. But we also want to think about things like knowledge, skills, systems, even budgeting as a form of worship. But what has God given you to steward? Just pause on that for a minute. What have you given me to steward? Maybe he's given you your family. Maybe he's given you a job. Maybe he's given you people underneath you to help lead them. You're a manager. Maybe he's given you a ministry. Maybe he's given you a vision in your heart. You have the vision, but you haven't, maybe have you taken a step to steward that vision? Do you need skills? Do you have skills? Do you need information, knowledge, and education, or do you have knowledge and education? For me, that was a big one. I love to read, and I read probably about 3 books a month, thereabouts, and I love it. And I used to ask the Lord, is this okay that I read this much? Because I do also love reading the Word, and I immerse myself in the Word. But I love learning, and he began to show me, you know what, that all of that you're learning, the way you can steward it is to begin to teach it and teach your own revelation from it, what I'm giving you from what you're reading. Because not everything you read is for everyone, and not everything you read do you agree with, and you take that and assimilate it and make it simple. And so that's something that I began to use the skill that he's given me and a passion he's given me to be able to release and to help others with. And step 3, multiplication. Again, we talked about this in the last video, but this is an area that we often fall short on. And I confess that was something that I just didn't really even want to do, because I felt, what if multiplying just means more to manage? And here's the thing, this day and age, if you just took the digital world alone, you could create funnels and systems and assets that run for you. And as you multiply that, you begin to impact more people, and you begin to have greater capacity to do things for the Lord, for the kingdom, for your family, for your own life. And you begin to do things that are very different when you can multiply what you've been given. And some ways that looks like in the business world is putting out more offers, or putting out the right offers that can actually multiply. You only need one offer to do really well in order to succeed. And if you do that one offer, you put in a good funnel, you put in a good system, then that system can scale. It becomes very simple. And that was something that I learned early on. Is I'm very creative. I love to create. I love to make things. And I made a lot of different things and a lot of different courses, which is really hard work. And it was hard for me to scale. So I pulled some of them back and focused on just the right ones. And sometimes that continues to change. And let's just take a moment and breathe that in and just say, okay, God, I want to shift from striving into aligning with what you have for me, doing it from rest, doing it not for God, but doing it with God. And just take a moment and just breathe that in. Let that downshift inside of you. Just breathe for a moment. Even just put your hand on your heart and just say, God, would you break off striving within me? Would you realign my vision? Restore my vision where it's been lost or tired or buried or even gotten muddled or confused? And God, would you just realign where I'm meant to steward, what I'm meant to steward. And just take a look at the different things that God has given you to steward. Is there anything that you need to release and let go of for this season? Is there anything in your heart that has not been stewarded that you might need to pick up and just take one step forward in? And if you're following 1 and 2, is there anything that you've been stewarding, but now is at a place of needing to be multiplied? Okay. Because we want to just really take that step just to breathe that in, because God isn't out there rewarding your striving. And we definitely don't want you sitting into a place of hustling and working harder. I've been burnt out twice in my life. And let me tell you, that was not the Lord, that was me overworking myself. But when you become aligned with what God has for you, something comes alive in your heart, and you begin stepping into, like they say, step under the spout where the glory comes out. Something begins to run smooth. You have that oil of unity, that oil of union coming in. And here's the thing, multiplication is the kingdom's default setting. And if it's not multiplying, maybe begin asking, God, well, how can I turn and shift that in order to do this? And I want to also just bring into alignment, if all of this sounds okay, I don't even know where to start, right? Just begin thinking, okay, write out your vision, make it clear. What am I stewarding? What am I multiplying? Let's take out the striving and the hustle, and let's step into that place of alignment and rest. Okay, my friends? And I would love to hear from you. Which one of these do you see being highlighted for you right now in this season? Your vision, your stewardship, or your multiplication? I'd love to hear that from you. And I'd love to come alongside you and partner in prayer with you. And just put that below. Let's see you step into that in a greater way. All right, guys, God bless.